Hello and welcome to How to Rob a Bank. You're joining us for this special Cyber Skills Live as part of Careers Week. Careers Week is run by Skills Development Scotland and they're running loads of great events about upskilling and getting ready for the world of work. My name's Daniel, I'm an engineer and I'm interested in all things tech and security. You're about to get hands-on and learn cybersecurity skills in this interactive activity. Our digital world is powered by technology. From exchanging messages to turning on the lights, we rely on technology every day without realizing the impact and the power that it has over our lives. And it's super important that we protect it properly. A career in cybersecurity means you play a key role in protecting this digital world. And in Scotland, for every 2 jobs in this area, there's only 1 applicant. So there's a huge opportunity for you to have an interesting career. We need more people that have digital skills to help make us more resilient against cyber attacks. I'm coming to you today from the heavily fortified bank vault at Strathclyde Bank. And today there's hundreds of you joining us on the live stream and taking part. I'm here with bank robber extraordinaire Craig. Hey Craig, how are you?
Hi Daniel, I'm really excited for today. Hello everyone and thank you for joining us. Happy Careers Week. So there really is a wide range of careers in the cybersecurity industry. Technology skills are really valuable, but it's not just a career for techies. There's a lot more to it than just sitting behind a computer. There are jobs in marketing, in digital forensics, in the legal team, in project management and more. It really goes across all sectors and skills. There's something there for everyone. But the career that we're going to be talking about today is ethical hacking. Now, if you're a teacher, you can tweet us some of your ethical hackers today. You can use the hashtag ScotCareersWeek22 and you can use the @DigitalWorldHQ. We'd love to see your classes taking part today.
So today you are going to become ethical hackers. You're going to see how you can use your digital skills to break into our fictional bank. Now, like Craig says, our activity is based on a real life job role and you are going to be ethical hackers. Let's get started.
Your challenge is to break into Strathclyde Bank. First, you'll need to find a way to remotely connect into the bank's computer system. You'll use a command line tool to do this. Then you'll find a way to access the login names and passwords for all the bank's business customers. Finally, you'll log into the Strathclyde Bank website using these stolen customer details and transfer the money to our own secret bank account. This is a fictional bank, so you're not actually stealing anyone's money, but it will give you an insight into the way a company has to protect themselves from an attack. Now it's time to start the heist. Follow the instructions and see how much money you can steal before time runs out.
Okay, let's get started. So we have been asked by Strathclyde Bank to carry out a security assessment or a penetration test on their website. We're going to come back to what those terms mean in just a bit, but for now, what you need to do is go to cyberskillslive.com. And once you go on to cyberskillslive.com, there's going to be a red button near the top of the page, which is to join the activity. So follow the instructions.
Yeah, that's right. You just need to go to cyberskillslive.com and at the top there's a bit that says join the live lesson. There's a button there. If you just click on that, you can start playing. I can see that already quite a few of you have joined in. You're starting to take part. You're following those instructions, which is brilliant. But if you've just arrived, you've still got plenty of time to get started. You just need to go to cyberskillslive.com. This works best in a modern web browser like Google Chrome or Firefox as well. Now, this is something that we're all going to have to work on together this afternoon. We're going to be doing this collectively. We're all going to be trying to rob the bank at the same time. I know that there's hundreds of people taking part, Daniel, this afternoon. So if at any point it goes a bit slow or it's not loading for you right away, just give it a minute and then it will keep going as well. But I think we're getting people starting to join us now, Daniel. We're nearly ready to start robbing this bank.
Yeah, I can see we have got hundreds of people logging on and you're all logging on really quickly now that we've given you that instruction to head to the website down there. So Craig and I, we can see your progress as you complete the tasks. So we can see what step you're on, and we can see if people are getting stuck at a particular bit. We'll be able to give you some hints and tips if we spot any issues. This activity is going to need you to open up a second window or a second tab later on. You're going to have to go on the Strathclyde Bank website later on. So when it asks you to do that, open it up in another tab or another window, because you're going to need to go between the two. So you need to follow instructions in one and use the Strathclyde Bank in the other one, but all the instructions are in the activity itself. Craig, we are going to be doing this test on a bank. We're going to be trying to hack into it and see if we can steal money from some accounts. That seems a bit strange. Why is a bank asking us to do this? Why are they asking us to steal from them?
Well, we are ethical hackers today, Daniel, and it's much better for us to find the security flaws and point them out to the bank rather than a cyber criminal discovering them. Sometimes companies have security vulnerabilities that they don't even know about. And today we've been asked to do this. We're not attacking Strathclyde Bank. They've given us permission to do this.
That makes a lot more sense. So this is also a fictional bank. Strathclyde Bank doesn't exist. However, what we're doing is based on the way that real life cyber attacks have happened to organizations like banks. So the tools that you're going to be using and the process that you're going to follow, that is going to be representative of what has happened in real cyber attacks. You are going to be following the same steps as a penetration tester would take.
Yeah, this is a simulation, but it's based on real things. The tools that you're using, the flaws that you find are exactly the types of things that ethical hackers would be looking for. So one of the things we've done to simulate this is the environment that you're using to conduct the test today, to conduct your simulated attack. So Daniel, what is this setup they've got? They've got instructions on the left, and then they've got the sort of classic blank computer screen where you type the instructions on the right-hand side.
Yeah, a lot of the activity needs you to interact with a command line interface or a terminal. And what that means is you have a little prompt and you have to type in the commands, and the computer follows those commands exactly as you type them. This isn't something that you would probably use day to day on your own computer or your tablets. You're probably more used to using a mouse or a touch screen to choose what you want to do. But a command line interface is a really common way of interacting with a computer if you work in tech or in security. There's some applications that may be so specialized, or you might be wanting to do really specific things, or even just you might have a really complicated task, but if you can sum it up in one line with one command, well, that's a bit quicker and a bit easier to use. So this is a really good way to kind of get hands-on and try it out and get a feel for the command line, because this is something that in tech you might have to use every once in a while.
And I know whenever I'm using the command line, sometimes you've got really complex or detailed commands like we're using today. And the biggest problem can be if you make a typing mistake. So if you type in one thing wrong in the command, the computer won't recognize it, it won't do it. And it's difficult if you put the commands in the wrong order as well. So my tip for you today would be that don't just sit and type the commands in, because you're more likely to make a mistake. One of the best things that you could do is you could use your copy paste to paste it in. So you would highlight the command, you would right click, copy, you would paste it in. That way you're not going to be making any typing mistakes as well. And certainly I know I've got a notepad that has a bunch of commands that I use quite a lot. Sometimes I do that as well. So using a command line interface today, watching out for those things. But if it really does all go wrong for you and you can't work out how to get to the next step, you think you're typing it in and it's not working, the best advice would be just refresh the page, just start the activity again. It won't take you that long. Sometimes that's the best way to get out of it, Daniel. I can't believe we've only got 10 minutes in and I've told people if they're having a problem, just turn it off and turn it back on again, essentially.
Good advice. So I can see we have got loads of people logging in, getting started, doing these first couple of steps. So I can see we've got a lot of you who have typed in like your name and you found your school, and some people have already been putting their first commands into the terminal. So I can see here we have got a mixture of schools and colleges and other groups joining us from across Scotland, and there's a few international groups joining as well. So let's give some of you some shout outs. Say hi.
Okay, so when I say the name of your school or your group, I want you to have a big cheer in your classroom so that Daniel and I can hear us from the vaults of the bank. Okay, Daniel, so let's see who's got joining us today. We've got schools joining us from Angus Council. Give us a cheer if you're from Angus Council. Thanks for joining us today. We have Blair Gowrie High School. Thank you very much for joining us today. Let's hear you. We have Hillview Primary School. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. And we have more schools from North Lanarkshire Council. A big cheer for North Lanarkshire Council, I'm sure, right across the region. Who else have we got, Daniel?
I can see we have a few more schools. So we've got Kings Park Primary School joining us, tuned in, taking part. Brilliant. Thanks for being here. We've also got Little Lever School playing along and taking part too. And who else we got? Our Ladies High School in Cumbernauld. You're playing along as well. Some more councils, Craig. I love shouting out the councils. Edinburgh City Council. So I think there's some schools and groups from across Edinburgh. Hello, thank you for joining us. Good luck stealing the money. And we've also got East Renfrewshire Council and East Dumbartonshire Council taking part as well. So if your school's in one of those regions, a big hello to you.
We've got a few, we'll do a couple more just now, Daniel, and then we'll give some more shout outs later. But university wise, we have Manchester Metropolitan University, students and lecturers from there. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. And we have Common Thread Education. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. One more company joining us today, Daniel. We've got the Department for Work and Pensions. Shout out to the Department for Work and Pensions. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I've never heard the DWP get a shout out before, so there you go.
There we go.
Right, so how are people getting on then, Daniel? What are they up to?
Yeah, so I can see quite a lot of you are pinging at the moment. So what do we mean by pinging? Well, you have run a command called ping for Google first, and then you run that same command on the Strathclyde Bank website. Now, Craig, what's this command doing? Like, what are we checking for by running this ping command? Why is it useful?
So in its most simple terms, that ping command is just checking that the computers we're trying to connect to are switched on and available. So the first thing we need to do is check, does the Strathclyde Bank server exist? And is it on? Is it, able to be connected to? Then the next step that you're doing is we're logging into that network via SSH, which is basically a command that lets you connect securely into another computer or a server. Now, it's important that we connect to these servers securely, and companies do have these things set up, Daniel, don't they, so that people can access servers around the world?
Yeah, so it might seem a bit strange that we are able to access the bank's computer system remotely from wherever your school is using SSH, but actually almost all corporate networks need a way for people outside to access that system. So it might be they have employees who work at home, they're working remotely, they need to still be able to log in and do their work. But it might also be that company has remote engineers, so maybe the company that work on that network, or they have some contractors, they might not be based in the same office. They still need to be able to work and do access and do it remotely. So having an ability to log in a secure way from outside of the office is a really kind of common feature of most companies' IT systems. It's a really important thing that we kind of need to have there. But like you say, Craig, it's really important that it's kept secure and that everyone keeps their passwords secret.
Yeah, the problem with this version of it though, Daniel, is that there's a security issue at this point already, because we've been able to connect to that server. And the reason we've been able to connect to it is that we know a former employee's username and password. Someone who used to work at the bank has actually told us what their username and password was. And their account hasn't been shut down. It's still active. They can still get into that website. And this, is a really straightforward way. If you knew someone's username and password and their account was still active, it's easy to just walk in the door like that. But this might seem like a simple problem, Daniel, but this happens quite a lot in real life cases as well.
Yeah, so good practice is whenever someone leaves a company or they're fired or for whatever reason they've left, you should deactivate their account as soon as possible. Because what if they've left themselves logged in somewhere? What if they've written their login data somewhere? Or what if they're annoyed at the company? What if they're unhappy and they want to get some kind of revenge? You don't want that to happen. You want to close that door so that they can't access the network. Strathclyde Bank haven't done that here. They've left this person's account active and someone is able to log in, and you know what, I can see there's a couple hundred of you who are logging in with this account right now. That shouldn't be possible.
No. But we've done it, we're in
We've done
there.
it.
And what you're doing next is once you go onto that server, the first thing that someone would do as an ethical hacker or a penetration tester is just sort of explore what is going on. You want to try and work out, okay, what files and folders are available. It's like if you went into someone else's house, you might not know where everything is, but you might have a snoop about. You might, well, maybe not you, but if you were really investigating, you might snoop around and see what you can see. And you're using some command line commands to do that now. So the main two ones that you're using are ls and cd. So what ls does is it lists all the files in a certain folder so you can see the names of the files and their types. And you're using cd as well to change directory. So basically what that means is to move about the different folders and locations on that Strathclyde Bank server. And I can see a lot of you are doing that just now. So you're using ls, you're using cd, you're exploring and seeing what you can find. And that's where it's going to, you know, that's when it will really start to get interesting, Daniel, once we actually have a look about here.
Yeah, it's really important to kind of have a look around and see, because there might be some interesting files there. And you know what? Some of you have found a really interesting file called pwords.txt. I want to have a look at that in a bit more detail. But I think before we look at that file, Craig, let's give some more shout outs.
Let's do it.
There are another bunch of schools and groups who have logged in. So if you have just joined us and you're not on the activity yet, don't worry, there's still time to get caught up. Head to cyberskillslive.com, the address is underneath Craig, and you can join the live list. There's a red button near the top of the page. So
who's joining us, Daniel? Who have we got now?
So I can see St Margaret Mary Secondary School have logged in. Hello, welcome. St Michael's Primary School, you're coming along too, and Priorsford Primary. Hello, welcome.
We've also got veterans of our lessons. It's Stirling High School. Thank you again for joining us this afternoon. We have the Gordon Schools. Hello to you as well. Give us a cheer. And another university, Daniel's joined us. It's the University of South Wales. So hello and thank you for joining us today.
We've also got some other schools here. We've got the James Young High School taking part. Hello, welcome. Dunfermline High School are also taking part in the bank robbery today. And we've also got Nescol, we've got a college taking part too. So hello, if that's where you're from.
Another international person joining us today. I think it's a company, Cinepita from Argentina. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. And from Argentina to Ayr, it's the University of West of Scotland are also joining us today as well. We've got University of West of Scotland as well joining us.
Super. So a big hello to all of you who are taking part. I think we'll probably have a few more groups joining as well. So if you haven't shouted out your school yet, I'm sure it'll be coming up soon on our screens. So Craig, I said some people had found this P-words text file. I can see quite a few more people have found that now. Now, what's in here is a list of accounts, right? So there's this file, and it's not opening quite right. And
that's right.
I think there's a permissions issue that people can't get to open. There's an allaccounts.log file that people have found. They can't get in. It's saying insufficient permission. So they're kind of snooping around again to look for some more files.
Yeah, what I can see that they found, Daniel, so they were trying to get into this all accounts log, right? But it said that they didn't have the right permissions to access that file because not every user of the website is going to be allowed to see all the accounts. But when they were looking about as well, they found this file called pwords.txt. Daniel, that file has the passwords in it for all the staff members in the company. And what's worse than that, they're in a plain text format, which means that anybody can read the contents of it. Now, we know that that is bad practice. You know, you shouldn't just have all the company passwords saved in a file called passwords that anybody could open. That kind of defeats the purpose. But again, Daniel, this is based on real things that real companies have been doing, that cyber, ethical hackers have been able to point out.
Yeah, I know that lots of big companies have been caught out for using and storing passwords in a sort of a plain text unencrypted format, because things like data breaches have happened and millions of real people's details, including their passwords, have been exposed. And for that to have happened, that means that company was saving things in an unencrypted way. Now, here, this is a really big problem for the bank, because the fact that the contents of this pwords.txt file, this has the passwords of all the members of staff for this bank. So although the account that we're logged in at the moment with can open the all accounts.log file, maybe one of the other accounts can.
Yeah. I can see some people have already started doing that, Daniel. In fact, I think some people are managed to not just access that, but they've been able to get into some of the accounts as well. I can see that some of you are already starting to move money out of the bank accounts into our secret account as well. So before we have a look at that, Daniel, maybe we should just talk a bit about this is Scottish Careers Week as well. We're talking about jobs and how you can work in this area. This isn't although this is a fictional story we're talking about today, the job isn't fictional. You can actually do this job in real life.
Yeah, you could be doing this. And I actually took a look to see like what jobs are active just now, what are open and looking for applications in this area. And there's a couple of companies that are actually looking for ethical hackers right now in Scotland. So this morning I saw there was a job posted by the Cabinet Office. So the Cabinet Office are part of government that works with Downing Street to kind of implement policy on Whitehall, and they are looking for an ethical hacker. And in fact, they're looking for an ethical hacker to do something really interesting. And if I read out this last sentence, the platforms you'll help secure include high-profile citizen-facing digital services such as gov.uk and register to vote. Now, what that means is the government are looking for someone to see if they can hack into the voting website. And it's really important that our electoral system that is secure. Like imagine our election would get rigged or someone hacked in and they were able to change someone's votes, for example, or take someone off the list. That would be really, really bad. So you could be working on really interesting, exciting stuff as an ethical hacker. So that's a job opening that's live right now.
Excellent. Daniel, is there another job there that we could have a look at as well? Oh yeah, so here's another one. This is with a company called CGI based in Glasgow. They are looking for what's called a penetration tester, which is doing testing very similar to the stuff that you're doing just now. Can you see, Daniel, what it sort of says in that job description there? Some of the things that they're looking for?
Yeah, so it says here that they're one of the largest cyber consultancies in the UK, and the team works across a lot of different sectors. So they work for government, defence, critical infrastructure, healthcare, banking, and financial services. And what they do is basically CGI consultancy. So companies or organisations or governments, what they do is they then would employ someone like CGI to go in and test their computer systems. So although you might be working for CGI, you'd be going into all these different organisations and trying out their sort of cybersecurity, doing these penetration tests on their systems. So a bit more of a varied role with that one.
That's great. We'll have a look at some more of these jobs a bit later, but Daniel, some people have already started moving money into our secure bank account, stealing it as well. But you have something set up for that, don't you?
Yes, we have Socializer, and we can see how much money has been stolen. So every time you transfer money from a bank account into our secure one, this is our bank balance. We can see how much has been stolen, basically. So Craig, we are at 56 million,
not bad.
680,312 pounds right now.
Not bad for the first 25 minutes, Daniel.
Absolutely not. That's really good.
We've got the whole of the North Lanarkshire schools, Edinburgh City Council schools working on this together, so I'm sure we can get this number up a bit higher. Now, the way that this is working is that some of you have been able to access that all accounts document. And when you've opened it, you've seen it has the names and the account details for every single one of the bank's business customers. So what you're able to do is go into those accounts, log into them, and transfer the money out into our secure bank account. Now, when you do that, it asks you to put a reference in, and you can put down your hacker name and your school name, and we should be able to track some of that money, Daniel. We can see who it is that's been getting that money for us.
Yes, we can see all of these references that you put in. We can see where you've taken the money from, and we can see how much money you have stolen. And you know what? We have had hundreds of transactions already happening. I'm not surprised. We're almost at £70 million at the moment. So, Bank Robber 999. I guess that's your hacker name today. Apt. You know what? You've got a bit of a signature. You have been leaving some money in the accounts. Lizard, you have stolen £100,000 from someone so far.
Well done. Quite a few transactions from Liberton High School, and the most recent one being 8,957. Thank you very much. Keep that up, please, as well. I can also see that someone with the hacker name Pot Noodle, Daniel, has just managed to transfer £43,280 out of the business accounts and into our secure bank account. Thank you very much.
I can also see here Big Man, who is at James Young High School. You have stolen £986,000. Thank you very much for that. We'll spend it wisely.
I can see some more, Daniel, from Jonesy and the amazing Pickle have both been transferring some money there. Over £20,000 for that as well. Rebecca, you're going to have to try hard. Rebecca's transferred £5. Listen, Rebecca, we've got millions of pounds here to try and steal. You're going to have to try and move more than £5 at a time, please. Thank you.
Do you know what? So you said Rebecca stole £5. Gregor left £5 in a bank account. So Gregor stole £11,590, but left £5 left in the account. I guess that's nice. So then when the account owner logs in, they've still got £5. But
Daniel, I think Rebecca's redeemed herself. I've just seen another transaction for £574,822 in one go. That's more like it, Rebecca. Yes. Thank you.
I can see here Oti has stolen £80, although I think there was only £80 in the bank account.
Well, okay, but let's get some higher numbers. Come on, Oti. Come on. Okay, here we go. So we're up at what we got, £89 million so far. Not bad, not bad. I can see Noah, you've been transferring 20,000. Thank you very much. And Paige from James Young High School, thank you very much. You've just managed to transfer 12,000 as well. Daniel, this is so good. Lots of people are at this stage just now where they're transferring the money. Don't worry, if you're not at that point yet, I can see a few more people have just joined. You've still got time to take part as well. Whew. Right, I think I need a breather from that just now, Daniel, where people keep working through it.
I'm going to hide the totalizer. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple more of these jobs that we found. So it might be that some of you are really interested in working in security, but maybe you think actually ethical hacking's not for me, or some other more like programming a job isn't for you. There's some other things that are open as well at the moment. So here is another one. This one is for Boots, the chemist. They are looking for an information security incident response analyst. Now, Craig, what does incident response mean? What would that kind of person do?
So this is more responding to some sort of cyber attack or some sort of event that's happened as well. So they've got it down here as they're responsible for all stages of threat detection and remediation by identifying threats at the earliest phase of an attack and knowing how to respond appropriately. So what that means is rather than the sort of attacking side of it, what they'd be doing is saying, okay, if something happens, how do we protect ourselves? What are the steps that we should be doing to respond to that? I love this phrase, Daniel. Like, how good does this sound in a job description? You will detect threat actor activity throughout the stages of the cyber kill chain. That sounds dramatic, doesn't it? You know,
it does.
What do? I detect cyber threat actors in the cyber kill chain.
So that's a really interesting job. And I think a lot of people think if you want to work in security, you have to work for a big technology company, you have to work for a security company, but actually every company needs security. And companies that handle like sensitive data, like maybe payments if they have an online shop, or Boots, they are chemists, so they have lots of medical data about people, prescriptions. It's really important that that's kept secure and protected. So actually, shops on the high street also need security people, and quite a lot of them at that.
Excellent. Is there time for one more job, Daniel?
There is. Let's take a look at one more. So here we have a job advert from Barclays, the bank. They are looking for a cybersecurity analyst, and this is part of their graduate program. So this is a job that they are advertising to people who are just towards the end of university, or maybe they've done certain courses at college, and they're looking for someone to get a flavour of different roles in cybersecurity working for a bank. So I hope Barclays Bank's systems aren't quite as vulnerable as Strathclyde Bank's. But, you know, these are
I'm sure
jobs...
they won't be.
I'm sure they won't be. These are jobs that are available in Scotland right now that are advertising. And there's a lot of really interesting options out there. That's just 4 that I found this morning. There were pages and pages and pages, Craig.
Yeah, exactly. There's loads of opportunities in this area, and we need more people who are interested in it to maybe study it or consider taking it further as well. So hopefully you're getting a taste of that today as part of Scottish Careers Week as well. Daniel, I'm keen to know how we're getting on here with our totalizer. Has there been any more activity to report?
There has.
I mean, imagine this was children in need. This is rapid money collection here.
So the total at the moment is 134,015,155 pounds.
So I can see that someone from Little Lever School has just managed to steal 1 penny. Okay, thank you very much for that as well. I can see that Damien's been doing good there as well, constantly getting in lots of different transactions. Make sure that you do that as well, everyone. You're going in and you're stealing as much money as possible. Yasmin from James Young, wow, £508,000, Daniel, all in the one go. That was brilliant.
We've got some slightly smaller transactions happening as well. Miller has stolen £84, Ian £102, James IV £125, Daniel £542.
We've got a teacher getting in on the action, Daniel, as well. Miss Brown. Thank you, Miss Brown, for taking part and joining in as well. Stealing, okay, £13.55. Okay, fair enough. But thanks for taking part as well.
I can see something interesting has been happening here, Craig. So there's one person, I think it's Bank Robber 999. They've been leaving 1 pence in all of the accounts that they've been stealing for, I guess, is some kind of like signature, right? Yeah. And I can see other people have now started logging into these accounts and they're seeing 1 penny left and they're then stealing a penny. So I can see here someone at Little Lever School has just logged into Jack Smith's account and there's only a penny left in it, but they've stolen that penny. They thought, you know, let's just keep going with it. Let's steal that last penny.
Yeah, no penny left behind. We need as much money as possible, Daniel transferred. Mr. Deswecki from Stirling High School, thank you very much for taking part. You've also been stealing some money as well. This is brilliant, Daniel. They keep coming in here. We've got so much money.
Do you know, I have a version of the totalizer, Craig, that makes noise every time someone makes a transaction.
That doesn't sound annoying at all.
That doesn't sound annoying at all. So I'm going to force that on all of your classrooms right now. So if you are about to make a transaction, listen out for it on the stream, because that might be used. But that's going to give us an idea of just how many transactions are happening every second.
Okay, well, why don't we do something then? Why don't you bring that up, Daniel, and let's see if we can get to 160 million. See if we can get to there. Good luck.
We hit our target, Craig.
Yes, come
Passed
on.
We have passed £162 million so
Keep
far.
going,
Good
keep
going.
going
Yeah,
though.
keep
I,
going.
I want us up at 175 million. Come on, we've still got 10 minutes left. We can do it.
I've noticed a lot of the accounts are now empty. You might have to scroll really far up that file to find an account that's still got money in, but I promise there's loads of accounts that still have lots of money left in them.
Yeah, Daniel, I have confidence these people can do it. They've been taking out a penny here, they've been taking out 13 pence if that's all that's there. Get into all of those accounts, get as much money as possible out. Let's get up to 170 million before we finish. How's that for motivational speaking, Daniel?
Perfect. 10 out of 10. So, how's this happened? How have we managed to be stealing all of this money? Well, the next kind of step that you took after logging in as that bank manager was something called privilege escalation. Now, privilege escalation is a really important step in a penetration test. In fact, it's one of the key things that you want to do as early as possible. And the reason that we want to do that is there's lots of files that might only be accessible or visible to a small number of people. So it might only be managers that have access to certain files, or it might be the only people who can switch on and off certain systems have to be members of like the IT team, for example. We want to be able to do everything as a hacker. We want to see all the files. We want to have full control over that network. So we have to try and escalate these privileges as high as possible, as soon as possible. So that's why you looked in the IT team folder and looked in the password list. And that's why you chose the bank manager to log into, because that's the account that would have the most privileges. That's the account that would have access to the most amount of things. And Craig, we've gotten into this all accounts list, which has the usernames and the passwords for all the business customers. That must be some of the most valuable customers in the bank. And we've just got their usernames and their passwords right here.
Exactly, and the reason we're targeting them is businesses tend to have more money in their bank account than just a personal account as well. So successfully escalating those privileges so you could access those files is a really important thing. But that leads me on to another security flaw that you've identified, which is you've been able to log in as these customers by putting in their username and password, and nothing has happened to stop you from doing that. You know, there's been no sort of alarms going off or it warning you. Whereas I know that sometimes if I'm logging into my bank account or other important websites, sometimes what it does is it asks me for an extra piece of information. It doesn't just get me to put my username and password in, it gets me to give them something extra. This is called two-factor authentication. So Daniel, you might have had this, you might have had like a text message get sent to you on your phone when you're logging in somewhere, or an email that comes with a code that you have to put in. That's an extra security check that is done to make sure that it is really you that is trying to log into that account. And it really does work, because what that would mean is it would have prevented all of the money being stolen that we've been doing today because we wouldn't have access to those customers' mobile phones, we wouldn't have access to their email addresses. Whereas we do have access to their username and passwords, we wouldn't have that extra piece. So it shows you that like, maybe that's something, Daniel, that Strathclyde Bank should look at investing in.
I think that should definitely be one of our recommendations after this, is they should add two-factor authentication to their account. So yeah, you're right, Craig. If I try and log into my bank account, I get a text message with a code that I have to type in to kind of prove that it's me, because the cybercriminal doesn't have my phone. They wouldn't know that code. And in fact, if I try and transfer money, they send me another code to check that it's really me. And none of you have had to put in codes. All you've had to do is just put in the username and the password, and it's let you into those accounts. Now,
yeah,
I don't think that's probably good enough for a bank these days. I think they need to add this extra level of security with two-factor authentication. And it's not just banks you can turn on two-factor for nowadays, Craig. You know, almost every account I've got, I have two-factor turned on, and I have that code I have to type in.
Yeah, you can turn it in for your email. You can turn it on for your email accounts. You could turn it on for social media accounts as well. And it really does make a big difference. Daniel, I think there's actually a law now in the UK that says that if you're a bank or you're a financial institution, I think you actually have to be using two-factor authentication or something like that. I don't know when that's came in, but I'm pretty sure I've read that somewhere.
Yeah, you're right. They have to do some kind of additional verification on their customer to make sure that it's you. So that might be they look at your purchase history and they go, have you ordered from this website before? Does that look like a typical transaction? Is it on the normal computer? Is it for roughly the amount that you normally do it for? And they go, okay, that's fine. Or they might look, okay, this is unusual. We're going to make them log in and get a text. Or it might be, I get a notification on my phone sometimes like, you make this transaction, and I have to touch my fingerprint on the sensor to prove that it's really me. But yeah, they have to do this extra verification, and that's to stop things like this happening. You know, this would be disastrous if this was a real bank. Like, what are we at now? We are at 193 million pounds. That would cause big problems, wouldn't it? If you were Strathclyde Bank, I don't think Strathclyde Bank would exist after today if they lost that much money.
Can we get to 200 million, Daniel, before we finish? Let's do it. 4 million to go. Come on. Come on, let's do it. Oh, this is so good. Just a few more to go. Let's see if we can keep it up. Thank you for those that are continuing to work hard and do that money. Thanks, Ollie. Jake the Snake's been doing quite a few as well. Macy, thank you for that as well. Corey, Camel, Madison, Robin Hood is taking part today, Daniel, but it's actually a Robin Hood from St Margaret Mary Secondary School. Thank you very much for that.
You can see here we've also got Michael and Donald, Hugh and Gregor, Kira,
Ailey,
Freya, Aaron, Tristan, Lucy, Johnny, MJ, Damien.
Oh my goodness, loads of people just now. Oh, Daniel, we're nearly there. Come on, let's do it.
We can do it. Who's going to take us over that line?
You keep an eye on. Oh, Daniel, we're over it.
We're over it.
Excellent, brilliant, well done. Over £202 million stolen in one afternoon. Daniel, who brought us over that line? Who made that transaction?
I think it's someone whose transaction was, Daniel OTI beg, please give me a shout out. I think after that transaction for £459,000 that's got us over that 200 million threshold, you can have your shout out now. I think you finally earned it.
That is brilliant. Well done everyone for getting through that today. You had to do a lot of work to rob that bank. So let me just recap what you did. First of all, you connected to the bank's computer system, and then you found a file that you thought might be interesting, the all accounts file, but you couldn't open it. So you did a privilege escalation. You found an account which could open that file, and you logged in as that user. You switched your user to be the bank manager. Then, once you got into those all accounts, you were able to see the usernames and passwords of all the different bank accounts. And you've been able to go in there and drain those bank accounts. So wow, what a brilliant job you've done this afternoon.
Yes, thank you for being part of our cybersecurity team today. And we hope that you enjoy it. We're going to split it up fairly between us. So spend it wisely. Yeah, it'd be fairly, I think, 90% for me, 5% for Craig, and then the remaining 5% across everyone else.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
That sounds fair. We are on YouTube today, so you could like the video, you could subscribe to the channel, and if you do that, you're going to get notified whenever we run more live lessons like this in the future. Yeah,
tell your teacher to like the video right now. Tell them to subscribe to us so they can stay up to date with all our future lessons.
And remember, if you are a teacher or an adult, you can tweet us using the hashtag ScottCareersWeek22, and you can tag us as well at DigitalWorldHQ.
We've had so much fun robbing this bank with you today. Why don't you try out some of our other cybersecurity activities as well? You could be defending Stirling Castle from a cyber attack, or maybe now that you've got a taste for crime, you could be doing how to steal a pizza. So to do that, they're all on our website. So it's cyberskillslive.com is our website.
Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Well done. Congratulations. We have, I think, almost emptied Strathclyde Bank. I'll put the totalizer back on screen at the end of the stream in case you want to kind of watch that continuing to tick up. But for now, it's time for me and Craig to say goodbye. So it's bye from Craig.
Bye-bye.
And it's bye from me as well. See you next time.